Okay, guys. As we have discussed before, to be able to complete our application, we need to have three parts. The first part is actually our API. Second part is actually to build our front end administration dashboard. And another one is actually to build our mobile application. Okay, today I will start with setting up our API using NestJS. There are a couple of requirements that I need to do. I need to have. Okay. First one is I need to have Node.js installed in my machine and also Nest.js. Okay, you can check if you have installed Node.js or not in your terminal by typing node v. Okay. So right now I'm using Node version 16. If you haven't had it already, you can download it from the Node.js website directly. Or you can actually use any package manager or Node version manager. I will recommend you to use Node version manager, for example, NVM, NVM Windows, or NVS to install. Since in the future you might need to have a couple of Node version in your machine. So I'm using NVM right now. So in my machine, I have I have two. I have two version of Node installed in my machine right now, version 16 and also version 17. Okay. If you I do recommend you use Node version manager. So how to do that? How to use Node version manager to install your Node? Okay, you can go to the Node.js website. If you don't want to use any package manager, okay, or Node version manager, you can directly install it and install it on your machine lah. So that's one way. There's another way here. If you scroll down, you can go to this link, installing Node.js via package manager. There are alternative ways on how you can actually install in your machine. If you are using any Unix based system, you can actually use NVM, which I highly recommend. To install NVM, use this install script. If you are on Windows, you can actually use NVS, and you can follow this instruction lah. If you need to also install Chocolatey in the machine to be able to install NVS, or you can download NVM Windows. I think it will be in here. So you can download NVM Windows. You, you can download it here in the release section. You can download NVM setup zip, I think, because I'm not using Windows right now. So if I open it, yeah, you can. If you are using Windows, you can install this NVM in your Windows using this installer. All right. So if you have it installed, please use your intended version lah. I'm going to use my version 17, Node.js version 17 today, because I know that to build this application, it will take some time to be able to complete all our three application. So by the time that I launch my application, so perhaps I will be using Node.js 18. So in the future, to make it easier rather than changing from 16 to 18, so I can simply use the version 18 for my production. So that's why I'm going to use version 17. Okay, so I am using NVM, so I can switch between versions easily. So right now I'm using version 16 as a default, but for our application I want to use version 17. So I can simply type npm use 17, means that I want to use a version 17. Sorry, nvm use 17. Okay, so right now I am using this Node version 17. Okay. Next, I need to install the npm. Okay, if you install any Node.js, actually npm is already pre-installed. So to check if you have npm or not, you can simply type npmv. Or to check if you have yarn installed or not, you can simply yarn v. So if you install the latest version of Node.js, Yarn is actually pre-packaged already. So you but you need to enable it by typing copec enable. So if you type yarn v and let's say I disable, okay, and I type yarn v. So if you have this issue, you find this issue, command not found yarn, it means that you haven't enabled the copec for the node. Okay, so I can simply type copec enable and then check if I have yarn installed. Okay. So right now, yeah, my yarn is active. So I am going to use yarn for my package. There are a couple of reasons because I think that yarn is actually a little bit faster than npm uh, to to download and to manage my dependencies. All right. Okay. So I have installed Node.js. I have npm. I have yarn, and I'm going to use yarn. So you need to install NestJS globally in your machine. So to check if you have NestJS or not, you can simply type nestv. See, I have this Nest version 8.2. Okay. So if you haven't had it already, you can type yarn global. You can use npm or yarn whichever lah. Okay. So yarn global add nestjs CLI. All right. So nestv. Okay. So basically it install my NestJS CLI. So if you have installed NestJS, basically you can start using nest command. Okay. For example, nestv or nest new application name which we are going to use. Okay. I will go to my folder here. I have created an empty folder, a charity folder to host all our code here. So there will be at least three repositories here. First is actually for our API. Second is for our front end website. The third one is for our Flutter mobile application. I want to create a project, a NestJS project inside this folder. Okay, I can open terminal here. Make sure that I am in the correct folder. If not, you can always change the directory using the command line. So I can use nest. Okay. I need to use nvm use 17 again. Okay, I need to use nest new and my application name. Let's say I put it, let's say API. Nest new API. So as you can see, it will create a new folder for our API. Okay. And it also create a couple of configuration file and folders. The CLI will help us in building our project. So I am going to use yarn as I've mentioned before. Okay, right now they are installing my dependencies. So it will take some time to install. Okay. Okay. So I have successfully created the project API. Okay. So I can change directory into this API and run it. Okay. But I don't want to do that. I simply want to open this folder inside my editor. So from the command line, I have installed Visual Studio Code. So if you have it already, you can use Visual Studio Code to manage your project lah. Okay, so I need to change it to my folder. So right now I am in this API folder. So I am in this API folder. Okay, so the Git also has been initialized as a master. Okay, so I'm going to run my code here, Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now I have opened the Visual Studio Code for with this folder, the API folder as my workspace. Okay, so I don't need this terminal anymore. Okay, so basically that's it. How to create an application, a new NestJS application using NestJS CLI. Okay, if you are confused, you can always go to the documentation and follow the instruction here how to set up lah. But basically uh it will be the same lah, as I've explained just now. Okay, so going back to our application, so what does the NestJS CLI do? it built a couple of files so that I can straight away use it in my as an API server. Okay, so let's check. Let's check. So if I open my terminal, okay, okay, I'm using Node 17. Okay, so I can yarn start my application, and it will based on this main command. So basically, I am creating an application, and this application is listening to port 3000. So I can go to my browser. I can go to my browser and type localhost 3000. So this is my application, hello world. So I have my NestJS application running correctly. So if I stop the server, okay, I stop it. I go back to my localhost 3000 port. Basically, I will have an error lah because there's no application running on the port 3000. There are a couple of things that I want to initialize. Okay, I want to create a structure document. Basically, you don't need this file, but I just want to let it be a guide for us lah, how to actually to properly manage our project. Okay, I have it already here, structure.md, and I will put it into my into our document here. Okay, so let us go through what does it mean. So my plan is actually to have the source code, I mean our code, inside this source folder. So basically we have this main.ts, which is actually the entry point for our application. Okay, and we have the app module here, which controls our application. Okay, what we will have the modules folder, which will contain a couple more of modules. Okay, that will be using to manage our endpoints. And I will create another folder called utils folder. Okay, for this utils folder, it will contain non-app specific utility functions. I mean, it's not related to NestJS code. So it's just basically some functions that I think that I need, for example, conversion from the time or hashing or encryption code. So basically, I will put it here. Okay, and I will have a common folder which will share app specific classes. I mean, it will share all the specific classes related to this application. So since this is a NestJS application, so class any class that related to NestJS, I will put in here. So any non-specific and non-app specific, I will put it in utils folder. If there's, for example, is the pipes, which middlewares, interceptors, filters, guard, decorators, which is highly tied to the NestJS application, so I will put it here. Okay, never mind if you don't understand it first. I will show in an example what does it mean, what the pipes, middlewares, interceptors, filters. Beside my application, I also want to create a libraries folder to basically to contain a couple more of modules or functions that actually need cross application. Because right now I only have the main API application, but in the future perhaps I will have one or another two or three application, and I will organize this as a monorepo project. So if you don't understand it now, that's fine. But for now, but the gist is actually if you have one or two or three application inside a big project and you want to share some code between these three projects, so it is proper to actually using library folder for that. I will also put a configuration folder outside my source folder, because this one I also want to share it between the projects if I have multiple application or microservices later on. For now, we only have this application, so it's fine if you don't have this library or config folder. You can also put it inside the source folder, but for this project, this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, so if you go to the modules folder, inside every modules folder, okay, we will have the module file, the controller file. The module will be the entry point for the module itself. So for example, in our main application, the app module will be the entry point for our application. So for the module, every module we will have the module file to manage the module, and this module will import or use the controller services and entity or DTOs. Okay, so this module will manage everything inside lah. Okay, so we will have the user service, user entity for the user object model. So this is example of the users folder. I have not created it yet, but this is what I'm going to do. So it will be the same if I want to create the auth module, cast module, reports, and actions module. So what does it mean is, if you don't understand how, basically this is what I'm thinking. So these modules, users, auth, cases, reports, and actions, is basically my generated module. I'm thinking of creating these modules in the future. It might change in the future because this is not definite now. I have some ideas on how to build this application. So this is how I'm envisioning my end product will be. Okay. Usually I will not create this structure, but because this is for learning purpose, that I'm creating this so that it will help you in understanding why I put this certain file inside this directory or not. Okay. Okay, so that's it for this video. So we managed to set up our API project. So in the next video, I will continue building our application by defining some configuration and also pushing this code into GitHub repository so that it will be publicly available.